next function we're going to look at in our basic math training, keep in mind you're still working in the basic math workbook, but we're looking at the fifth sheet called RAND, is a function called RAND, but it's also another function that relates to it. And this is really when you're trying to test data. And sometimes you're trying to see if a formula will work or not work, but you might not want to do it on the actual spreadsheet that is housing your data in case something goes wrong. So what we like to do is randomly generate some data that we can work with. So here's an example of a spreadsheet. We'd like to put in a couple of item numbers for, let's say we are running a sweet factory, and every item needs to have an item number. And let's say, for example, that the item numbers are 5 digits. So what you can do here is you can use a function not RAND, but RAND between. That returns a random number between the numbers you specify. So because there's 5 characters, I'll start from 10,000 all the way up to 50,000. This will now give me random numbers between 10 and 50,000, and I can create an entire list of them. Now what's very useful about this is we can use it to randomly put in information to test formulas and test tables. But just keep in mind, the minute you make a change to your spreadsheet or complete a calculation, these numbers will randomly change again. So for example, if I double click in the cell and I push enter, notice column A has changed, and it will keep changing and keep updating as long as I'm using this formula within that cell. So if I would like to keep the random numbers that I have generated, I need to select the data. I'm going to use Control Shift and the down arrow, copy this data, and then choose to paste special values. That's the little clipboard with the 1, 2, 3 on the clipboard icon. This will now remove the formulas in this cell and only keep the values. For items in stock, I'm going to use RAND between again and say that I have anything between 100 and 300 items in stock at any given point. Again, you can copy the formula down. I want to keep the values and not the formula, so I can right click copy, paste special values. So this easily generates numbers. Sometimes we don't want to sit typing out random information. This does it for us. Now because we are handling a sweet or a candy factory, our cost per items are actually generally between 0 and 1 because they're small items. And this is where you can use the function called RAND. RAND returns a random number greater than or equal to 0 but less than 1. For this, because the numbers are already specified, you don't have to put in any data. And this will now randomly generate numbers between 0 and 1. You can decrease the decimals, and then if you want to keep the data, right click copy, right click paste special values. Now if we had normally had to enter all this information ourselves just to test a theory, it could have taken us well on 10 to 15 minutes, but using the RAND and RAND between function, this can literally take you seconds to create.